Your employees are using AI right now, today, this week. Most of them are not telling you about it. Here's the truth. While you're still debating whether to adopt AI, your team has already adopted it. They're pasting customer data into ChatGPT. They're uploading contracts to free AI tools. They're making decisions based on outputs that might be completely fabricated, and you have zero visibility into any of it. But here's the good news. You don't need a 50-page compliance document to fix this. You don't need to hire a chief AI officer. And you definitely don't need to ban AI and pretend the problem just goes away. What you really need is a practical framework that captures AI's benefits while managing real risks, proportionate to your size and resources, obviously. I'm Sam Weinstein. I've spent the last decade helping small and mid-sized businesses implement complex technology systems. I can tell you, the companies that get AI governance right are not the ones with the biggest budgets. Far from it. They're the ones with the clearest thinking. Today, I'm giving you the complete playbook. We're covering the 5 pillars of AI governance for SMBs: governance foundations, data protection, quality control, transparency requirements, and practical implementation. By the end of this video, you'll have a 90-day roadmap you can start executing tomorrow. Better yet, today. Why not? Let's get right into it. Okay, point number 1, the ownership problem. Here's where most businesses fail before they even start, okay? Nobody owns this. AI tools are flooding into organizations through the side door. Marketing is using one tool, sales is using another tool, customer success discovered something on YouTube, shameless plug. And leadership is still having philosophical debates about whether AI is ready for business, ready for our business. Meanwhile, there's no coordination, no standards, no accountability. The first thing you need to do is designate ownership. Now, I'm not saying you need to hire someone new. In fact, for most SMBs, it's overkill. What you need is a clear point of accountability, someone who already has authority to set expectations across the organization. In smaller companies, this often sits with operations leadership. Sometimes it's the CFO. Sometimes it's the senior manager who already handles vendor relationships and compliance matters. Here's what's critical. This person does not need to be technical. They don't need to understand how large language models work. They don't need to know the difference between ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and Mistral, whatever. What they need is organizational skills and authority. They got to be the person who can say, this is how we're doing things, and have people actually listen. The second foundation is creating a simple, living AI use policy. And I want to emphasize the word simple. I've seen companies create 50-page AI governance documents that sits in a SharePoint folder collecting digital dust. I promise you, nobody's reading that. Nobody's following them. They exist purely so leadership can say, we have a policy. That's not governance, my friend. That's theater. A 2 to 3-page policy that people actually read is infinitely more valuable than a comprehensive document nobody opens. What should this policy cover? 5 things. Number 1, which AI tools are approved for business use and which aren't? Give people a clear list. Use these, don't use those. Second, what types of company data can and cannot be entered into AI systems? We'll go deeper on this in the data protection section. But your policy needs clear boundaries. Third, disclosure requirements. What must employees tell others, and when must they tell others that AI was used? When must this company disclose it to customers? Fourth, who approves new tools before the adoption? There needs to be a gate. Otherwise, you'll have 47 different AI tools across 12 departments within 6 months. And fifth, basic guidance on reviewing AI outputs before they go to customers or into decisions. This is your quality control baseline. The third foundation, and this one surprises people, is maintaining an inventory of AI tools already in use. Here's where I tell every client, before you create a policy, you got to understand reality. Conduct a brief survey, you create a Google form across your organization. Ask people, what AI tools are you using right now? What are you using them for? What data are you putting into them? You're going to be shocked by the answers, I guarantee it. I worked with a company recently, about 80 employees, who thought they had minimal AI adoption. The survey revealed 23 different AI tools in active use across the organization. 23. And leadership knew about maybe 4 of them. Once you have that inventory, you can make informed decisions. What do we formally approve? What do we prohibit? What needs additional guardrails? You can't govern what you can't see. The next thing I want to talk about is data protection, which is your primary risk, okay? Now that we're getting to the section that keeps me up at night, When I think about SMBs, when I think about AI, it's this. Data protection is where most small, mid-sized businesses' exposure actually lies. Not in AI making bad decisions, not in robots taking over, not in hallucinations, and data leakage. Every time an employee pastes information into an AI tool, that data is leaving your organization. Where does it go? Who can access it? Is it being used to train models that competitors might benefit from? Most employees have never thought about these questions. And that's a problem. The first step is clarifying what's sensitive, classifying it. Not everything needs the same level of protection. If you try to treat all data equally, you're going to either over restrict and kill productivity or under protect and create real liability. What needs strong controls? Customer personal information, financial data, employee records, trade secrets, client confidential information, anything covered by NDAs, contractual obligations. What might need less protection? General business documents, public information, internal process documentation that doesn't contain sensitive details. Create clear categories and make it very easy for employees to understand. This type of information, never put it in AI tools. This type, use approved tools only. This type, use your judgment. The second step is setting clear boundaries on AI inputs. This is where you get very specific, and specific matters. Don't paste customer lists into ChatGPT. Don't upload contracts with client names to free AI tools. Don't share proprietary formulas or strategies with systems that may train on your inputs. I want to pause on that last point because it's critical. Many AI tools, especially free tiers, use your inputs to train their models. That means the competitive intelligence you're asking AI to analyze, it might be improving a system that your competitors also use. The strategic plan you uploaded for summarization, fragments of it might be influencing outputs for other users. It's not paranoia, it's how these systems work. The third step is vetting vendors on handling data. Before adopting any AI tool, you need answers to specific questions. Does the provider train on your inputs? This is just the big one. Enterprise versions of major AI tools often have no training guarantees. You probably see it when you're using ChatGPT. Free tiers usually don't. Where is data stored? If you have clients in regulated industries or international operations, data residency matters. Can you delete your data? If you decide to stop using a tool, can you ensure your information is removed? What happens if they're breached? What's the notification process? What's their liability? These are not hypothetical concerns. AI providers are high value targets. Breaches will happen. You need to understand your exposure. Step four, and this one catches people way off guard, is reviewing your existing confidentiality obligations, your contracts. Some of your client contracts may already restrict how you can process information. Using AI on that data might create compliance issues you haven't even considered. I've seen this happen. A professional services firm was using AI to help draft client deliverables, which is efficient, right? Except several of their client contracts explicitly prohibited sharing client information with third party systems without written consent. Every time they pasted client data into their AI tool, they were technically breaching their contracts. Pull your standard client agreements, pull your NDAs, understand what you've been already committing to doing before you build AI into your workflows. The next point I want to make is about QA or quality control and human oversight. Here's something I need you to internalize. AI makes mistakes with confidence. It doesn't hedge, doesn't say, I'm pretty sure or I'm not sure. It presents fabricated information with the same certainty as verified facts. This is called hallucination, and it's not a bug that's getting fixed. This is a fundamental characteristic of how these systems work. I've seen AI cite court cases that don't exist. I've seen it invent statistics with specific decimal points. I've seen it create plausible sounding quotes from real people who never said those things. Now, here's what makes it dangerous. The outputs look incredibly professional. They do. They're well written. They're formatted correctly. They pass the does this seem reasonable test? Absolutely, they do. Your processes need to account for this reality. Rule number one, never publish or send AI outputs without human review. This applies to customer communications, marketing content, reports and analyses, and especially anything with numbers or legal implications. AI is a drafting tool. It's a starting point. It is not a finished product. The human review is not optional. It is not when you have time, it's a mandatory step in the workflow. Rule number two, be especially careful with AI for high stakes decisions, hiring decisions, credit decisions, pricing, legal matters. Anything where getting it wrong has significant consequences. These areas deserve more scrutiny when AI is involved and not less. Why? Because AI can introduce biases you don't see. It can make errors you don't catch. And when it goes wrong, the AI told me to is not a defense that will hold up legally, ethically, or with your customers. I'm not saying don't use AI in these areas. I'm saying build an additional checkpoint, require senior review, document your decision making process, make sure a human is genuinely accountable for the outcome. Rule number three, train employees on AI limitations. This might be the most important investment that you make. People need to understand that AI can hallucinate facts, that it can cite sources that don't exist, that it can produce plausible sounding nonsense with complete confidence. Healthy skepticism is appropriate. Verification is necessary. Trust but verify is the minimum standard. Personally, I recommend building this into your onboarding process. Make it part of how you introduce AI tools to your team. Set the expectation from day one. These tools are powerful, but they're not infallible. Your judgment still very much matters. Point number four, transparency and disclosure. This is where things get a bit nuanced because different contexts call for different approaches. There's no universal rule that says always disclose AI use or never disclose AI use. The right answer depends on your industry, your customers, and a specific situation. If it's a customer facing communication, consider your industry norms and customer expectations. A chatbot should probably identify itself as AI. If a customer thinks they're talking to a human and they're actually talking to a bot, that's a trust issue just waiting to happen. When they figure it out, and obviously they will figure it out, you've damaged the relationship. Marketing copy drafted with AI assistance probably doesn't need disclosure. Every marketing copy you're reading now is most likely AI anyway. Nobody expects you to list every tool you use for your creative process, okay? Customer service emails written with AI assistance, this falls somewhere in between. If a human reviewing and sending the email, it's still human communication. If it's fully automation, then disclosure becomes a little more important. Principle here is don't deceive. If customers would feel misled upon learning AI was involved, you should probably disclose. Professional and regulatory contexts, some industries have specific requirements. Legal, financial, healthcare sectors may have disclosure obligations that apply to AI use. If you're in a regulated industry, you need to know what applies to you. This is not optional guidance, it's compliance. Even if you're not in a regulated industry, professional norms matter. If you're providing advice or analysis that clients are relying on, then they may have expectations about how that work was produced. Now, internal clarity, okay? This one is often overlooked. Employees should know when they're interacting with AI systems and when they're interacting with human colleagues. If you're using AI for internal communications, HR processes, employee support, etc., be transparent. Your team deserves to know. Point five, practical implementation. Your 90-day roadmap. I told you this in the beginning. Let's make this actionable. I'm going to give you a phased implementation plan you can start executing immediately. Phase one, which is the first 1 to 30 days, discovery and foundation. Your first priority is understanding your current state. Survey current AI usage across the organization. Send a simple questionnaire. Ask what tools people are using and what they're using them for and what data they're inputting. Make it anonymous if that helps. Get honest answers. While that survey is running, draft your basic acceptable use policy. Remember, 2 to 3 pages. Cover the 5 elements I mentioned earlier. Don't try to anticipate every scenario. You'll refine over time. Identify your highest risk data categories. Work with your leadership team to classify what's most sensitive. Customer data, financial information, trade secrets. Get clear on what needs the strongest protection. Finally, pick 1 or 2 approved tools and establish them as defaults. Don't try to evaluate every AI tool in the market. Choose reputable options with enterprise-grade data protection. Make them your standard. By day 30, you should have a clear picture of current usage, a draft policy, defined data categories, and approved tools selected. That's phase one. Phase two is days 31 to 90. Rollout and process. Now you're operationalizing. Roll out your policy with brief training for all employees. Personally, I emphasize brief. A 30-minute session covering the key points is better than a 3-hour training nobody pays attention to. Focus on the why as much as the what. Set up an approval process for new tools. Someone wants to use a new AI tool? Amazing. Here's the form you fill out. Here's who reviews it. Here's the criteria for approval. Make it lightweight, but real. Review key vendor contracts for data handling terms. Go through your existing AI tool agreements. Understand what you agreed to. Renegotiate if necessary or switch to enterprise tiers with better protections. Establish a feedback channel for questions and issues. People will have questions, they'll have edge cases. Give them a way to ask without feeling like they're going to get in trouble. By day 90, you should have a policy deployed, training completed, approval process functioning, vendor terms reviewed, and feedback mechanisms all in place. And that leads us to phase 3, which is ongoing continuous improvement. This is not a project with an end date, it's an ongoing program. Quarterly, review all of your policy as technology and your usage evolves. Set a calendar reminder. Every 3 months, ask yourself, is this still working? What's changed? What needs updating? Periodic check-ins on compliance and emerging issues. Are people following the policy? Where are the friction points? What questions keep coming up? Stay informed on regulatory developments in your industry. AI regulation is evolving rapidly. What's voluntary guidance today might be mandatory compliance tomorrow. And before I wrap up, let me just hit on 4 mistakes I see organizations make repeatedly. Okay. Mistake number 1, over engineering. I love simplicity. A policy nobody reads is worse than a simple one people follow. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Start practical, refine over time. You don't need to solve every edge case in version 1. You need a foundation that works. Complexity can come later if it's even needed. Mistake number 2, banning AI outright. I understand the impulse. AI feels risky. The easiest way to eliminate risk is to prohibit the activity. Here's the reality. Your employees will use AI anyway. They'll just do it without your guidance, without guardrails, and without telling you. A ban does not eliminate AI use. It eliminates your visibility into AI use. And that is it's a lot worse, trust me. Better to channel the usage product productively, give people approved tools, set clear boundaries, make it easy to do the right thing. Mistake number 3, assuming IT handles it. AI tools bypass IT entirely. They have access to browsers and require installation that may not touch your network in traditional ways. Your IT team might have no idea what AI tools are in use across the organization. It's not an IT failure, it's just how these tools work. AI governance is a business operations issue as much as a technology one. It needs a business leadership involvement, not just technical oversight. Mistake number 4, treating this as a one-time project. The technology is evolving faster than any of us could track, trust me. What's cutting edge today is outdated in 6 months. We've seen this over and over. New capabilities emerge, new risks appear, regulatory landscapes shift. Your policy needs to be a living document. Build in the review cycles, expect to iterate and plan for change. So there you have it, the complete framework for AI governance in small and mid-sized businesses. So let me quickly recap what we covered. Governance foundations, designate, ownership, create a simple policy, inventory what's already in use. Data protection, classify sensitive information, set clear boundaries, vet vendors, review existing obligations. Quality control, always have human review, be extra careful with high stakes decisions, train employees on limitations, and transparency, match disclosures to context, know your regulatory requirements, be clear internally, and then implementation, 30 days for discovery and foundation, 60 more days for rollout and process, then ongoing refinement. Here's what I want you to take away. This is manageable. You don't need massive resources. You don't need specialized expertise. You need clear thinking, designated ownership, and a commitment to iteration. The companies that get this right won't be the ones with the biggest AI budgets. They'll be the ones who started with practical governance and built from there. Now, everything I covered today is about policy and governance, the framework for how your organization approaches AI. But frameworks don't implement themselves. If you want to understand how to actually implement AI solutions in your business, the technical side, the build process, the monitoring and improvement cycles, I break down my complete 4-phase implementation framework in this video right here. Covers how to go from we should use AI to AI is transforming our operations step by step. And if you found this valuable, hit the subscribe button. I'm putting out videos every week on practical AI adoption for business owners. No hype, no buzzwords, just actionable guidance you can use. And if you're a business owner or leader who wants help thinking through AI governance for your specific situation, or you want to explore where AI could make a real difference in your operations, I offer free 30-minute AI consultation calls, no pressure, No sales pitch, just a real conversation about what makes sense for your business. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching. I'm Sam Weinstein. Go build something great, and I will see you in the next one.